Welcome to Money Convos, where we discuss personal finance and investment tips. We're committed to helping people create wealth and achieve financial freedom. Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. All right then, let's head into today's conversation.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining. Nana Preku, always first in class. I appreciate that. Also, Vision Trader, Vision Trades. Thanks for joining in. We'll be starting soon. Waiting for our main speaker, Mimi, to join. Hello, Mimi. How you doing?
I'm well, Ellie. How you doing yourself?
I'm great. Great. Oh, for some weird reason, my earpiece is not picking up. Please give me just a quick moment. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Wonderful, wonderful. How's the weekend going? Or how has the weekend gone?
It's okay. We can't complain.
Nice.
Yeah.
See, I'm not feeling your energy in your voice. What's going on?
You don't worry. You feel it.
Okay, all right. That's great. Okay, so today we are going to have a conversation about retirement. And it's always nice to have you in the hot seat, giving us a nice lecture. To our audience, every now and then we want to remind you about retirement. It's, for many of us, it seems like it's 20, 30 years away. But you'll be surprised. Time flies. It will come very soon. Yeah? It will come soon, and you want to make sure that you are ready for it when it comes. Today, we are taking a different angle to the conversation. We are not just talking about depositing money in accounts. We want to look at beyond the money. What else can you do beyond putting money away to prepare for a nice and comfortable retirement? So, Mimi, I guess we will get started. And I ask you, generally speaking, when people think about retirement, from what you've observed, is it only the money part that they think about? Is it really an issue that they ignore other stuff?
So, Ellie, can take the question again?
Yeah, so when people are thinking about retirement planning, is it only the money side of things that they think about? Is it really an issue that people don't think about other stuff beyond money?
I think people think about other stuff. I haven't assessed yet how deeply they think about other stuff and what they do with the thoughts. But I do remember going for a pre-retirement seminar. One of the participants, not knowing that I was going to be a speaker, mentioned that he started off hearing about money, and for him, his social life was. And I don't remember if he was even talking about having some kids or something. And so I do think people think about the other areas as well. It's just that we tend to make more noise about the money or the financial aspects of retirement.
Okay, all right. So I guess some people do think about it. Okay, great. So what's the first thing you want to tell us? You've hinted at social aspects. So what's the first thing you think people need to think about beyond the money?
Yes, I'm saying that any decision that has long-term implications you should always consider retirement planning when you are taking any decision that has long-term implications. Like, that's just a general sense of what I'm about to say or what I'm about to talk about.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Please give us the breakdown.
So let's talk about career planning, right? Sometimes you hear people saying that when I hit 60, I want to lecture, I want to consult, I want to do one thing or the other. But basically, that's what you are doing with your time at retirement. But what are you doing now towards that? So, for example, if you want to lecture, your location definitely has to capture, take into consideration your long-term plans, including what you want to if you want to consult. It's basically something that you may have to start while you are working, build the network, because what normally happens is that people have these things on their wish list, but they do not put in place a strategy or structure for it. So they start at retirement and it fails or never get to start at all. So your career planning is definitely important, not just for even what you will do after retirement, but even how your retirement turns out in terms of finances. There are certain careers or certain places that you go into that you may end up having good retirement benefits. There are other places that you would work at, and if you don't do anything extra for yourself, you may end up having a bad retirement outcome. So all that has to be captured in your retirement planning as to what do I want to my retirement to look like? How can I position myself career wise so that I'm able to get the best benefits or get enough benefits to meet my goals, as well as if I want to transition into anything, how am I prepping myself now, building my network, building my skill sets, putting in place a strategy or a structure or a system so that I can easily ease into it.
Oh, okay. This sounds good. Making sure that you can position yourself in the kind of career that if you retire there, you will still have some good pension benefits. Maybe if you've been doing like for all your career, you would know that the I mean, informal business, or you've been working with people who don't pay your tier one, your tier two, make your basically your pension contributions. If you've been more entrepreneurial, you need to really think about how you're positioning yourself towards the end time to make sure that whichever organization or whichever business you are doing would pay those benefits that you need to survive in your retirement. Am I aligned with what you're thinking? What you're saying? Hello, Mimi. If you are speaking, you're muted. Okay. Just hearing about this, thinking about the kind of career you choose, reminds me of a time when a friend told me about. Actually, we did have a client. So we had a client when I was in wealth management. This rich old man used to travel abroad quite often for medical treatment. And as we were getting to know him better, we found out that he retired in the 90s. And at this point, I'm talking about 2019, 2020. We'll have that conversation then. And he retired in the 90s as, I wouldn't say even executive level. At a high enough role in a multinational company. I think it was in the US, or they must have had some branches in Africa. And I think either they were into engineering or pharmaceuticals, because I know he was a chemical engineer or a chemist. And his benefits that he received when he retired in the 90s is what still carries on now in the late 2010s, early 2020s. And he was using this every year. He could fly as often as possible to take care of his health. Like his pension benefits totally covered the rest of his life, him and his immediate him and his spouse. So just imagine being able to retire from a company like that, where you can retire and your health benefits are covered the rest of your life. Now that would be a huge clutch. Don't know how many companies are offering such a benefit now, but then if you have such hopes and ambitions, then it can motivate you to choose the right career and make sure that you are working hard enough to be among the best performing in your industry to attract those kind of perks. It's health is also an important part to look at. So I'm sure Mimi will pick up on some of these other points. Yeah, Mimi, are you back? Do we have you?
Yeah. I hope you can
great.
hear me.
I'll just give an example of someone who thought
The
about
career.
his career, whose career at the end helped him out for the rest of his life. He's passed on now, but while he was alive, it was a good clutch. Yeah. Okay. So career planning. When you started talking about career, sure, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead.
Yeah. So when you were talking, I think I'm going to change the subject, but if you're going to say something on this, please do finish your thoughts.
No, I was saying what you said about, the benefits, health, and the rest. And one thing I've noticed is that for some people, by virtue of the fact that they work in certain places, they just end up retiring well. If they have just a bit of wisdom, life can be good. And so you mentioned healthcare, which is very important. Some consolidate salaries, so the pension benefits are better. Some organizations have allowances and the basic salaries. Other consolidate the salary. So even though when you are working, you may have more deductions on your money. However, your pension outcome looks good. You retire well. So these are some of the things that you can consider, especially as you get towards the end of your career.
Yeah.
Elikem, if you have something
here. Consider that. Yeah. So I know lately with a lot of companies moving towards defined contributions and less of defined benefits. They don't want to be paying out for life. You really need to be selective about the kind of institutions you work for, especially if you are choosing the multinationals. That's great. So work hard, be at the top of your profession, and attract those kind of institutions. So maybe speaking of career, not sure if you mentioned on career. How about people thinking about the kind of career that they would have post retirement? And I say this because you retire, you turn 60, and then what are you going to do? I was just talking to my aunt last night, and she was saying, yeah, she's here in the US, and she's thinking about when she goes back to Ghana, what will she do? So she's thinking about whether she should consider real estate investments, just keeping her busy. At least as a landlady, she should be keeping an eye on her investment, something to keep her active and not just going for funerals. So is this something that people should be thinking about what they want to do after they retire and start perhaps preparing for that kind of career, post-retirement career? Okay, I think we may have lost Mimi, but yeah, while we wait for Mimi, I think I'll just touch on a little bit about that topic. It's something that I was thinking about this week, where a lot of people want to retire early. And in fact, if I could get your cooperation in the audience, by show of hands, how many people want to retire early? And by retiring early, for the Ghanaian context, retirement age is 60. I think in the US is 65. So who wants to retire before they turn 60? You can just use a reaction to show me. And what can you do? Okay, I see. Liv wants to retire before 60. Okay, cool. Daniel, how about you? You want to wait till 60 or you go the extra mile? Okay, who wants to retire before 50? Before 50? Liv still want to retire before 50 or you just wait till after 50? Show of hands. Oh, okay. People don't want to retire before 50. Yeah, I'm trying to retire before 35. Okay, all right, cool. So, to anyone who's thinking about retiring early, I'm curious, what will you use your time after retirement? I know there's traveling and all that. Will it just be fun and nothing productive, just entertainment? Someone like me, I'll just be bored out of my mind though. So for me, I'm thinking about how if I retire after 60, I have a different concept of retirement. Perhaps we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, if I retire before 60, one of the things I definitely want to do is to be on boards of companies, of course. As managing my own family office out, that will come as a given. But imagine some of the directors on boards, even in Ghana, MTN alone, when you do the calculations, as at the time they were doing their IPO in 2018, effectively they were earning like 1 million cedis a year. Must be nice. So yeah, think about that as a post-retirement career. Give experts advice to on boards, that kind of stuff. Maybe, do we have you back?
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry about the connection.
Okay.
Yes.
So yeah, I was talking about should people really even think about a post-retirement career?
I think it's dependent. Yeah, I think it's dependent on you. As you said, some people will be, really bored. It can even affect their quality of life if they are not doing anything. Others will just want to relax. So it's dependent on you. But whatever it is, as I said, just start planning early. Don't wait till you are going on retirement and now decide that you want to do consultancy. There are people who have waited, gone to rent an office, use the alarm sum to go and do all sorts of things just for the company to fail. So for me, it will be better to start, when you are working. At least if you for your salary will provide some cushioning, and put in place something before you leave to rely on that. And even if you need to invest, it will be to scale up a concept that you've already proven. So yeah, that's what I have to say about your question.
Okay. All right. So it depends. If it's something you want to do, prepare for it before you finish. It's interesting that people would use their lump sum after retirement, like the bulk of the money that they go when they retired, to go do something entrepreneurial. Because we know that entrepreneurship, starting up a business, comes with a lot of risks. So if you want to use your safety eggs or your safety nest to go and do something risky, that's something you need to give some thoughts to. Yeah, and then just to push that thought further, I'll just encourage everyone, set a date in your calendar. When you turn 50, maybe you should start having this conversation about post-retirement career, if you want to have one. If not, and you want to travel, maybe start thinking about how you earn sky miles or those kind of frequent traveler things if you want to be doing all that traveling, so that you can save after you retire. But if you're gonna think about working, then start developing those kind of connections in your 50s, or in fact all through your career, but be more deliberate about it in your 50s, so that once you retire, you get out of this your main job, you rest a bit, and then you go back and tell the people, well, let's get started working remotely or something. In fact, I'm talking about working remotely. By the time we are 50, we'll probably be working on the metaverse. That would be quite a sight. Okay, all right. So we've talked about career and how our career can prepare us towards retirement. Maybe what's next? What other areas of our lives should we think about beyond money?
Okay, so speaking about career and occupation, I think another thing we should look at is hobbies, especially for the boring ones like me. Um, One of the challenges for people during retirement is, not having a meaning, not being like not having anything to do or having any meaning in life. So it's also very important to start doing some soul searching to find out, like, what are the things that excite you beyond working. What other, or like, what else is there that you can dedicate your life to, and maybe invest a bit in that, and or look for a hobby or something else that you like, because it will come in handy. Tend to see, we did a survey at work, and you tend to see that a lot of Ghanaian retirees, they just sit at home, watch TV, go for funerals, that kind of vibe, you know. But being able to be occupied really helps you. So I was in some pre-retirement seminar, and one thing the doctor said was that if you don't want to have or reduce the chances of having issues like Alzheimer's and some of these depression and all sorts of things that come with old age, you have to keep your mind, mentally active, and that includes having something to do. So start thinking about, what else? Are there any hobbies you can pick up? Is there any other thing, any passion, any charity project, anything you would want to do? And like I said, start putting in place a plan for that. I don't know if Edikem wants to say something, but I'll move on to the next if you don't have anything to add to that.
Sure. You can move on to the next. I think that's
okay.
A good point
This sounds okay. So the third one, this sounds weird, but family planning. Family planning is important when it comes to your retirement. Why? Because if two things, you may not want to be paying school fees when you go on retirement, right? And that means that you have to do your calculations and make sure that your last born at least is done with uni and at least can work, by the time you retire. Let's assume that you don't mind having kids, because some people like pension babies. For some people, it helps, when they have a kid around, it helps them. The kid can help them as well as keep them active. So they would like to have some young ones around. if you are one of those, then you need to also consider, how do I plan adequately towards my retirement so that I can easily cover the fees and other expenses that comes from, taking care of my dependents. And I mentioned the survey, one of the things that came up as, a major concern for some retirees is, some of the expenses that come with having dependents. So it's definitely something you want to look at. So either you are making sure that you don't have um, any school fees problems when you are on retirement, or you make sure you prepare and plan for it if you think that you would like to have some babies around when you go on retirement. So, family planning definitely is one of them.
Yeah, if you want to have pension babies, great, plan for them. If you don't want to, start giving birth now. And let me shake this. Adam, are you there? Let me shake this table small, Adam, because the way you are going, you should start saving for pension babies. So Adam, anyway, maybe there's another angle to this. I like the when you use the word dependence, because and you fuse when you fuse that with the concept of children are out of school working and earning. We know about a lot of people, parents who still try to sponsor their children after they've even started working and even started having a family. So if you're someone who is going to be generous and you want to be able to still sponsor your children, yeah, buy them a car, buy them a house, do all those nice things, to each their own, right? You want to do it properly, plan for it, because you don't want to risk your retirement nest egg to fund what they need to do. Reminds me of this book we read sometime last year or 2 years ago. Dumb Things Smart People Do with Their Money. Maybe do you remember that book?
Oh, yes, I do.
And one of the things that Schlesinger, the author, said in it was, you can take a loan to fund a college education, but you can't take a loan to fund retirement. So when that time comes and you are thinking about sponsoring your children by cashing out of some investments to do something for them, you really need to think hard. Can they take a loan if they don't have the cash for it? Can they take a loan? And because they are going to be working for many more years to come, can they be the ones to pay for that loan? Otherwise, if you're going to take the money out of your retirement funds to sponsor your family, okay, that's something. And then, yeah, also speaking of family planning, not sure if you're going to mention this, but while we're on the topic of family, is one of your points about as you grow older, you should think about building good relationships with people, or am I jumping the gun and not be so annoying?
Okay, we'll get there. I think that will come
Okay.
under the social bit.
Okay. Cool. So then I can let you move on to the next point.
Actually, I just forgot the next point. Okay, so
Then let's shake that table. Oh, no, okay.
let's talk
now?
about health. Let's talk
Okay.
about health, right? I mean, we all want to chew the kebab and drink. Okay, I don't drink beer, but for those who do drink beer or have any other things they like to indulge themselves in, just like anything, these things are also investments into your healthcare, right? And one thing about retirement or after 60 years seems like, for some reason, I don't know if it's because people are not working anymore, they seem to deteriorate quite quickly if you don't take care of your health. And so, especially if you are prone to certain sicknesses and diseases, you want to make sure that you are doing, like, you are exercising, you are eating right, doing regular checkups, investing in your health, so that when you go on retirement, you are not using your money to pay for health bills. You can actually, I don't know if you've seen this picture of some people who are on retirement. I think they've gone for a vacation and they are both sleeping in the boat. But you can actually be active and like really enjoy, that time. So your health is definitely something you should invest in now. I've been telling my husband that when we hit 40, we are going to be vegetarians. He's not showing any support, but anyway, the whole intention is to be a bit more deliberate about my health at that point. I'm sure you are thinking, why not now? Anyway, we'll repent. But basically, what I'm trying to say
Please
is
answer that question. Yes, why not now? And I'm sure your husband is looking at you right now with side eye.
The way he likes me to. Anyway.
Okay. These are really good points.
Yeah.
And also those regular health checkups, right?
Yes. The regular health checkups are important because that's where you get to detect something, and if there's a need to change your lifestyle, do a surgery, whatever, so that it doesn't go out of hand, you do that. And hopefully that would help you save some money when you grow older so that you don't die, too early. A lot of the time you hear people dying not too long after they've retired. And so that it's not like you are just alive, but you are enjoying retirement because you are active and healthy.
Okay, gotcha. So you want to be active and healthy. You want to make sure that you enjoy your grandchildren or you enjoy your old age in good health. That's great. And my family friend's grandmother just celebrated her 100th birthday some months ago, and a lot of people came down to Ghana. It was nice. I just wish. Don't we all wish we could get there in good health? Okay, all right. So health, Mimi, you've covered health. What's next?
Okay, so since you brought up the social life, let me speak about that. And so I think about 2 years ago, I went for a retirement seminar. I think it was the same one I made reference to earlier, where the man was saying he was tired of hearing about money. And so when I went, the coordinator of the program, so it was like a 2 or 3 day program. So there were other facilitators on other days, including retirees. So I asked this lady who is the coordinator, what are some of the experiences the retirees shared? What are some of the challenges they shared? And she said a lot of them share challenges about their social life. Now, this particular company is a place that generally they pay well. So it wasn't really about money, but it was more about the social life. And she mentioned to me that it was mostly the men, and because a lot of the time when the men are in high positions, they are working, they feel like it's heaven on earth. They are bossy at home. They may not necessarily bother too much about their kids. The whole African man kind of vibe. And then they retire and realize that, okay, my wife is actually my best friend, and my children, are now my friends, but I didn't invest in those relationships. So they also sort of want nothing to do with me. I remember a man telling me that telling us that his wife is now his best friend. So when he was working, he used to decide what channel they watch. But now that he's on retirement, he gives the remote to his wife to be able to, decide what they watch, just in a way of managing the relationship, knowing that his wife is all that he's got. And I think either this year or last year, I was talking to a retiree, just asking him, based on the things I've heard, whether it was the reality. And he was telling me that it's interesting to know that people who you even used to be nice to in the office, you guys had a relationship, you meet them in traffic, try waving them, and it's like they don't know you, And this is not the first time I've heard that. I heard that as well from an 83-year-old retiree. For some reason, because retirees are considered as broke, when you go to the office too much, they think that you are come to beg for money or something. So people tend to shun you. And also because you don't have that power anymore. Maybe you were a general manager and they used to respect you by virtue of the title you hold. But right now you are I mean, you don't have that power anymore, so you are not getting that favor. And so it's your family and your friends, and depending on how you invested in them, whether you invested time, you cared for them, it's retirement is a time where you yield or you benefit from the work that you put into those relationships. But for those who didn't, they realized that at the time of retirement, no one was interested in them. They didn't invest in a relationship. No one was interested in them. And that's when loneliness and depression kick in. So definitely social life. And it goes beyond family. It could be friends. If you have church, any association. So once again, if you are as boring as me, you don't do old school, old girls association, you don't even say hello on the page. Maybe you can repent, because these are all relationships that you can benefit from when you go on retirement.
Wow. He's now giving up control of the remotes. These relationships, we need to nurture them. We need to help people, or be nice to people, or manage those relationships well. Make sure we make some fruitful relationships, such that in our old age we'll have people to be around us. Frankly, it's a concern that I have being in the US, because I see so many people grow older, and when they get to a certain age, their families just ship them off to nursing homes. Nursing homes are not a big deal in Ghana. They are not as popular. I would be surprised if there are a few of them, but it's because we usually have we have some social support to help, or there's always some family who will be around, or they will pay for someone to come and help with either as a nurse or with just anything, garden boy, people just to be around the house. So you have some social contacts. But the way the world is going, people becoming more less and less personal, be more transactional. We need to be deliberate about these kind of relationships. Make sure that we stay friends with people who have values. I'm just looking here on LinkedIn at someone some years ago. I think 2 years ago, I had a conversation, or I was part of a conversation with a former MD or group CEO of EcoBank, and he's Albert Asian, right? And Albert Asian mentioned that after he retired, he had some regrets about his career. He had worked a lot, and he really appreciated his wife, because his wife held down the home, made sure that the children didn't go wayward, everything was taken care of at home. Asked if he would do it again. The kind of life he lived, making the sacrifices outside of home, the family suffering for it, at least he was able to afford the things that his family was able to get. And now in his retirement, he's having to compensate for it with money, because he still has to shower some more gifts on people for him to stay on their good side, because now at this point he needs more social support from other people. So it's what made me saying that I see where it's very valid, and a lot of people are feeling that pinch. You want to make sure that you develop the people around you as you grow. You support people so that you also get the support you need in your old age. No man is an island. No man or woman is an island. So yeah, great point you've given us, Mimi. Thank you for bringing that up. Let's see what else is there. Any other points beyond just putting money in an account?
Let's talk about housing. Because of the Ghanaian situation. I mean, we've seen our fathers and mothers use 20 years to build mansions in quotes. Just what do you call that thing? The one Nanado likes doing, where you cut the ribbon.
Sword cutting ceremonies.
Sword cut ceremony. And then 2 years later,
commissioning.
Commissioning.
That was my hammer. Commissioning.
Yeah. Commissioning, and 2 years later, 5 years later, your kids are out. It's just one room for you and your wife. And there are even situations where you can't even climb the staircase. So you are living downstairs and the helps are living upstairs, And that has been the Ghanaian situation. So in building, can you consider, these things? Because a big house also comes with a lot of maintenance, and you don't want to be spending too much money on maintaining a big house that you don't need. And so it's good to kind of consider, what kind of retirement you want to have. There are people who maybe they are very family centered. They have a lot of family coming around for festivities and the rest, and they will still want to keep a big house. Fine. But it's important that you assess your own situation and you are true to yourself, whether you really need that space. And what you can do is either you keep the mansion, sell it off, and be open to buying another space, because for a lot of us, these houses it's like a sentimental, right? Or from the onset, you build a house where even if the kids move on, it's still manageable. So housing is definitely something we need to think about. And the truth is, not everybody would have the opportunity to build a house. And so, are you going to rent? And renting is not a bad thing in general. It depends on your situation. My boss shared a story with me of a man who um, um, decided to rent and not buy a house because all his kids were not here, and he wasn't going to be able to leave the house to anyone. Like, I don't think anyone was interested. He had enough, so it was all about generating enough income to pay for his expenses, rent inclusive. When he's gone, he's gone. So depending on your situation, is rent something that you would want to do? Where would you want to rent? How much would it cost you? These are some of the things that you can think about. Maintenance, all those things. Some people move to the village. If you are going to move to the village, you probably have to start being nice to the village people. You may probably want to start putting together something at the village. If it's a family house, know the nuances. How are you going to manage it? So basically, housing. What are your plans towards housing? How do you make sure that you are not holding on to something that is bringing you, is a liability? How do you make sure that at retirement you are in the space that is comfortable for you, not one that you are always fighting with one person or the other? So this is also something that you can think about.
That's a good point. Maybe you really had me at whether you're thinking about moving to the village. I see Saram in the audience. Saram, just by show of a reaction, do you intend to move back to the village after retirement? Because some of us, our villages are crowd. Some people, their villages Medina and then
I actually see Saram in some beach houses.
Oh, okay. If the beach, if the village you are talking about is the village of Ada,
I don't even know if she has a beach.
Sugakope.
I don't know if there's a beach.
Oh, but yeah, I think. Well, for me, if I have to move back to a village, then I'll change my. I think my father's village, they have a beach. Maybe that's where I can take from the point you just made. Not about moving back there, but yeah. Okay, I see that Sarah wants to answer for herself. Bringing her up. When Sarah comes, the golden question is, Sarah, are you gonna move to the village or not? Yeah. But Mimi, how about you? Are you thinking about moving to a village?
Bruh, I don't even know my way to the village to even think about moving to the village. It's not part of my plan at all.
Maybe you have 20 about 25 or so years to start planning your route back to your village.
Nah, the closest place to the village will be on the mountain somewhere.
Okay. Okay, I see. I think it's taking a while for Seram to connect. Seram, can you hear me? Right. When she connects, then we'll ask her. Okay, so moving on to the next point. Oh, actually, before we move on to the next point, maybe let me use this opportunity to remind our audience about what we do here. So, yeah, we are here. We are having a conversation today about retirement, and at Money Convos we talk about personal finance, and at least every quarter we want to remind you about the long term. Creating generational wealth, thinking about your retirement planning. And at this point, if this is your first time listening to Money Convos, or you've been listening but you've not followed this advice, or you've been following this advice, but this is going to be a quarterly reminder for you, go check on your SNIT statement. They should be sending you monthly or quarterly emails. If you are not receiving it, subscribe to it. SNIT is tier one. In Ghana, our pension system is in 3 tiers. Tier one is SNIT is an insurance that you make a contribution every month, and when you turn 60 or when you retire, they'll be making certain payments to you based on certain calculations. You can listen to some previous episodes of our podcast or of our sessions here, and you would get more details about the 3 tier pension system. Then there's a tier two that is private, also mandatory. Tier one and tier two mandatory. That means your employer must be making that payment. If you are self-employed, you should be making that payment. And in that tier two, it goes to a private fund manager. So find out from your employer who are they sending the money to. Go check on that statement. This is your quarterly reminder. In tier three, it's optional, but with this you can contribute an extra. Oh man, why do I keep fumbling with this number? Mimi, remind me, is it an tier 3, is it an extra 16 or 13% before tax?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question.
How much can you contribute into your tier 3?
35% adding all together.
Yeah, putting all together is 35.
Okay.
I think oh yeah, Seram, go ahead. Hi Seram. Okay, so yeah, putting it all together, you have an opportunity to put away 35% of your income before taxes. So why not take advantage of it? Make sure that your employer is making these payments. Check your statements. Save them onto your computer. Save them in your email. Save them on a cloud somewhere. If you want to print it, keep a record. Our parents always have that closet or that drawer or that trunk that they have our report cards from class 1. Be like them. Save these records so that if something happens, you'll have it to fall back on. So this is your quarterly reminder. Check on your statements. If you are not doing anything towards your retirement, at least you have to take advantage of the tax breaks that you are getting. The government may not be doing so much for you, but one thing that they've ensured to make sure that they are taking care of you is to make sure that you can put some of your income away before you start paying taxes. Take advantage of that to secure your future. Okay, great. Sarah, do you have you?
Yes. Yes, please.
Okay. Great. Oh, sorry about your cough. But very important question we need to understand. When you retire, are you going to your village or you find a nice private island to retire on?
Do I have a village?
Hey, what's going on in Ghana?
So I honestly had never thought about going to my village. If it has to be some beachside or the mountains wouldn't be a bad idea. Yeah. Closer to the mountains. Definitely out of Accra, but not my village.
Okay. All right. Start putting down payments towards the land near what's that place called Pejuase. Those are some nice mountains. Great.
You have neglected your village people.
Oh no, you see, it was the other way around. I won't retire alone, and I don't think my spouse will want to go and live in my village. That's my reason.
Okay. You are coming to explain tire, but okay, we'll accept that one. Okay, and another reminder to everyone. They say so there's six quality yards. Okay, so if you've not followed us, follow us here on Twitter/X. Follow us here at Money Convos GH. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and when you get on Instagram, follow Investment Friend. That's at investment_friend. Here we talk generally about personal finance or money convos, but with your investment friend over there, you get more targeted contents, conversations with people who consider your unique circumstances, so that you can make sure that you are making the right decisions towards your personal situation. Okay, great. So, starting to wrap up this conversation, so maybe back to you. Rapid fire. Any other concerns or things that we should be planning for in about retirement planning beyond just putting money away in an account?
There was one more thing, but I think have I forgotten? I mean, I was going to say something, but I think it's also falls under occupation. I know a lot of the time people want to retire and become pastors and the rest. And if you were sinning a lot during your active days, you may not be chosen. So Maybe you want to start repenting as you get towards retirement. Anyway, that's just for laughs. Let me think
Oh,
about
maybe, but
the
maybe
last.
this person, they received the call in their 30s or in their 40s, but they left it on unread. And now that they turn 60, they are going to answer the call. Allow them.
Hey,
The number of people who
okay.
have prophesied I'll be a pastor one day, my Lord.
Hey, you? What a
I'm
shock.
telling. Oh, I think it's just what a shock. Maybe the funny thing is, I think when I was younger, when people hear someone speaking so charismatically, especially the older folk, they quickly start boxing into buckets that they know about. It's like when you are good in school back in the day, oh, you should be a doctor or engineer, and when you are good with math, go and be a doctor or an engineer or something. And so I think it's one of those things. But
Okay.
never say never, right? Never say never.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You'll be shocked the souls you win.
Hi, Charlie. Nice. anyway, so I guess we could just let you have some closing comments on this topic. Maybe any words that you want to leave our audience with.
Like I said in the beginning, any decision that you take that has long term implications, even the kind of spouse you marry, your family planning, your career, your education, your health, everything that has long term implication that has the potential of affecting you during your retirement years is something that you should consider during retirement, because a lot of the time we may, you know, not look at those things. We may just look at the money, but remember there's cause and effect, right? So if you are putting money aside but doing everything wrongly, you may end up using your money instead of using it to, achieve your retirement goals, probably paying for some of the mistakes that you've made. Even including the Adriamine, the multiple wives and all those things that people do. All these things have to be considered. How would it turn out in the future? Would it be good for you? If it doesn't look good, you probably have to control yourself or figure out how to control yourself. So anything that has some long term implication that would affect you in the long term definitely is something that you could consider. So we may not have mentioned it here, but just think about your life. Does any decision you're making, does it have a potential of affecting you then? If yes. And then let me add that yes. I've realized, I think, yes. So we had at work we had a pre-retirement seminar on Friday, and I remember as part of my presentation I mentioned that when planning, even though this is monetary, I'll still touch on it. When planning for your retirement, you need to consider like wish list sort of things. What do I mean by that? Sometimes people retire and buy cars for their kids, or help their kids build a house, or contribute towards their kids' weddings, or one thing or the other. Most of these projects are capital intensive and normally not planned for. So what happens is that money that should have been used for day living, used to sort out health expenses and other essentials, are the ones that we use for these things, only to suffer for it later. And so just think about the kind of life you want for your kids, and if you think that you want any support, if you want to support them in any way, that should be an addition. You should also plan for that as well. Even estate planning, basically, if you want to leave anything for your kids, it means that after all has been said and done, after you spent whatever you spent during your retirement, when you are going, there should still be something that you can pass on to the next generation, and all that needs to be planned for. You can't just be walking around and expect that you give something to the next generation, because if you find yourself in a tight position, you may even have to sell your house. So be intentional about how you want to help your kids, what you want to leave on, you want to leave for the next generation, and make sure that all that goes into your retirement planning as well.
That's quite a good summary. All these other things that we need to be thinking about. Thank you, Mimi, for sharing this information with us, getting us thinking beyond just putting money away in an account or multiple accounts. So that was a good recap of all the stuff we talked about. Strongly encourage everyone to be thinking about this on this nice Sunday evening as you are planning for this upcoming week. Think about how you can start planning towards this. Think about how you're going to do your family planning. Think about the career choices you are making and how it will affect your future. And most importantly, if you are not following us yet, follow. If you are following, and you go ahead and share it with at least 2 other people. Share this information with 2 other people, because when more of the people around you are financially independent, the less of a burden you will have. Fewer dependents you would have when you retire. And we all want to have as few dependents as possible so that we can enjoy our lives when we retire. So I wish everyone well. Have a great, productive week. Thank you, Mimi, for sharing your knowledge on the topic. Hope to catch you all here same time next week, Sunday, 8 p.m. GMT. Do tell other people about this, and also follow at investment_friend on Instagram. Bye-bye and have a good night.
Thank you for taking the time to listen to our thoughts. I hope you learned a thing or two and start practicing. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Clubhouse, and Facebook. And subscribe to our YouTube and podcast. Do tell a friend about Money Convos so we all become wealthy together. Talk to you soon. Bye.